you need fancy tools and software to succeed in digital marketing. That is absolutely not true, and I'm going to talk you through why that is. Hello and welcome to Engage and Thrive, also known as EAT, your coffee catch-up with me, your host, Taelon, where we will go through common problems and hurdles that come up in business, marketing and advertising and try and demystify them. I know firsthand how complicated and confusing it can seem with all the different acronyms and all the things to do in business. So let me try and help you be better in business. First things first, let's start with grabbing a coffee. I feel like this is an easy one to myth bust because digital marketing gets such a bad reputation that you need hundreds of tools to be successful, when actually having lots of tools can cause tools fatigue, because you'll have a tool, you don't really know how to use it, so you get another tool that might do something similar, or you think it's going to do something different, and you end up having tools of tools to read tools to get an answer, when actually a lot of it boils down to firstly understanding what you're trying to find out, but actually also what's the story you're trying to tell from the data, which a lot of that comes down to your strategy. The other thing is that tools are not a shortcut. They should be helping you. So I suppose the beauty and the beast of digital marketing is that there is no quick win. There is no hack to make you go viral. At the end of the day, with most digital marketing, to be successful is having the right strategy, understanding your data, understanding your audience, understanding your messaging, and it all comes down to, I suppose, persistence around it all. What I will say is I'm the queen of wanting to try new tech, especially software and tools to improve efficiencies or automate things. And so I know for a fact exactly how it feels of having tools fatigue or not really understanding what you're trying to achieve from something, but this is really shiny, or I heard it on a podcast, or someone else said they're using it and it's improved their business, so I want to try it too. Been there, done that, literally got the stripes and the t-shirt. And what ends up happening is you have so many tools that then they start clashing as well. And at the end of the day, that can actually cause a huge bottleneck in your business rather than improving the situation. As always, let's go through vocab. The first one being MarTech. So it literally stands for marketing technology. And this is the broad ecosystem of software and tools that can be used for your marketing. So the technology behind your marketing. The next one is marketing stack. So this is your set of marketing tools and software that you're using in your business. And I would say far too many people don't actually map this out or list it out about what tools they're using for what reason. And it doesn't have to be anything complex. You don't need to do any fancy diagrams. You can literally just list it out in notes on your phone or Excel or a Google Sheet, what software you've got and what's the reason for it, or what platform you're using it for. KPI, key performance indicators. I've mentioned this a couple of times. So you would typically have those as a business of what's your objective and goals you're trying to achieve that are measurable. This is important when it comes into marketing, especially when you're trying to pick tools and software to help you understand the measurements of those KPIs, or if you're on track for those KPIs. UX, user experience. So the journey and interaction that someone has on your website and how easy it is for them to find information, which leads nicely into the final one of CX, customer experience. So this is the end-to-end journey that someone would have with all interactions of your brand. Number one, talent over tools. So I lightly touched on this in the myth bust talking about strategy. And at the end of the day, if you have the right people in place, the right talent, then you don't necessarily need tools, because people understand what you're doing in digital marketing, how to be effective in digital marketing, how to keep track of changes in digital marketing, what you should be monitoring, etc. Which also, you should then have the right strategy. And if you have those right people, they would know whether the strategy you've got is working or not. To give you an example, a role, I suppose, within digital marketing that people underestimate when I'm talking about having the right talent is having a social media manager. So a social media manager seems to catch a lot of roles in itself. So people expect that person to be able to copyright, design, create videos, community manage, set a strategy, do reporting, report into a marketing manager with the effectiveness. The reality is a social media manager can't be all of those roles. So when I'm talking about having the right talent in place, if you are hiring a social media manager to be a community manager and manage your community, respond to comments and build a community, it's unlikely their skill set is going to lie in a lot of analytics or reporting or even setting strategy. So no matter what tool you got in place, it potentially isn't going to help their job. The other thing that I touched on in the myth bust is actually understanding data. So by having the right talent in place and people doing the right jobs within marketing and not a crossover of marketing trying to be sales or designers needing to set strategy or video editors trying to interpret data, is you will have a lot of data in digital marketing, probably more data than you know what to do with. And one of the biggest blockers is actually being able to understand and read that data and turning it into a story or knowing what to do with that data next, your data-driven decisions. And this comes down to understanding your team's capabilities and therefore what tools you would need to support their role or complement their role, or things that they won't be able to do and need to upskill. Therefore, being able to get the team to actually understand and read that data. Because at the end of the day, data without a story is just noise. Going back to that initial misconception about needing fancy tools and software, what I would say is some of the best software and tools that you can use in digital marketing are completely free and still to this day. And these are tools that I recommend to people that I mentor. It's tools that we use within my digital agency. It's tools that we recommend to our clients. It just depends on what you're looking to do, therefore what tool you need. So if you're looking to do design work, social media, video editing, etc., there's obviously Canva, there's CapCut. Those are free. Obviously they have paid plans as well, but there are free versions that can get you through what you need to do. Then if you're thinking about email marketing, obviously MailChimp still has a free option. If you're thinking about project management, there's Trello, there's Notion. Then if you're thinking about your website, there's Google Analytics, Google Search Console, and Microsoft Clarity, which provides heat maps actually on your website. Again, all of these tools are free. It's just understanding the data they provide and what you're going to do with that data. And then in terms of actual social media, if you're trying to understand the effectiveness of what you're posting on social, every single platform has analytics. You just need to find it. So for example, for Facebook and Instagram, there's Meta Business Suite. So it links up both of those platforms in one space, and you can review your analytics, you can schedule content in advance or a free content calendar. It tells you the best time of day to post based on your audience. Then if you go into each of those pages and platforms themselves, there's actually analytics within your Facebook page, there's analytics within your Instagram account. Then if you think of YouTube, YouTube has some beautiful analytics in their back end, conversions, watch time, how people found you. The same with TikTok. TikTok has amazing analytics and it's getting even better. Snapchat has analytics, LinkedIn has analytics. All of them have analytics within the platform. And if it's a new platform, they normally build out analytics quite quickly. It's just understanding that data and what to do with it. Which nicely leads me into number 2, timing the tech. So I obviously briefly touched on all these free tools that you can use and all this analytics and data you can extract, but you've got to remember, you need to link it back to you as a business, what you're trying to achieve right now. What's your business objectives, so your KPIs, and also what stage you are as a business. Are you a startup phase? Are you a scale up phase? Are you expansion, so you're rolling out in different markets and you're actually trying to understand the effectiveness in different geographical locations? All of that will depend on what software and tools you're going to be using to get information, and then again what you're going to do with that information to make it effective. When you're trying to decide on what software and tools you need as a business, you need to think about what problem are you trying to solve. Is it the analytics you're trying to extract? Is it about understanding your user experience? Is it about video editing? Is it about adding subtitles to your videos? Is it about project management? Whatever it is, you need to first decide what's the problem you're trying to solve, not the tool and software first. Then you can obviously think about what software and tools you may consider. But what I would say is helpful to understanding what tools and software you may need to solve that problem is trying to do something manually first. And what I find is if you try to do something manually first, and when it gets too much, either it's too hard to do manually or it takes up too much time, that's likely when you then need to invest in tools and software or automate it. And the reason why I say invest in software and tools is because any new software or tool that you try or decide to get will take time to set up. From understanding the interface of that software or tool, from integrating it with other platforms, to training other people in your team, whatever it is, it takes time. And a lot of things you need to set up, and then you need to be using it, and then you need to be refining it to really get out the information or effectiveness of it. Again, to give you some examples, if we're talking about in the context of using Canva or CapCut, okay, you may think, okay, well, that's quite easy. I just buy the software and start using it. But actually, you have to think about how they've designed their user experience, how you set up your brand kits with all your color palettes and your fonts. How do you export things? How do you add in different features? Where you find different features? There's just so many things to think about. And then if you're thinking about any of your analytics tools that you're going to be using, you need to understand what the measurements are, the frequency of the reports, how you extract it, how you read that data, what it looks like. Does someone need to set it up with you? And then if we think of the other extreme of automation tools, a lot of the time you need to spend a good solid few days setting up automations, refining it, testing it, getting other people to test it, and keep refining before it's really going to be effective in terms of lightening your load. So when you're thinking about that investment of software and tools, you need to be thinking about it as a long-term investment and not an urgency. Because again, with all of this, tools should be supporting what you're doing, not setting your strategy. They're never going to solve your strategy. They're never going to solve your messaging. They're never going to improve your brand positioning or make your brand sexier. At the end of the day, you need to set all that strategy. They should just be supporting bringing your vision to life. Going back to the point of timing the tech, from day one, you're not going to have an all singing or dancing omni-channel automated digital experience for digital marketing. And at the end of the day, digital marketing changes so fast and so frequently. There's always new things that are going to need to be evolved or adapted. For example, if you're thinking about tools and software that you have now, I'm telling you, within the next 18 months or 2 years, you're probably going to change them. You're probably going to either evolve them or upgrade them, or there'll be something that is completely different happening in the market. So you need a sidestep of a tool. As a wrap up, you definitely don't need fancy tools and software to be successful in digital marketing. What you do need is strategy, talent, and timing. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Engage and Thrive with your host Taelon, and see you next week.